All right, in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody.
Oh, we're starting off like that?
We're back.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
I mean, we were gone.
Yes. We're still
but
here.
We're back.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of already touched on the aspect of what a red flag would be, but do you still want to double dip in it? Or
Let's go.
Okay. So, what are some red flags that you would see in a relationship? Like, what's something that you know would be like an impending doom? Like, you know, when you've been with where we're at in our age, we've already been in enough relationships to know when you start to see the roller coaster hitting the peak of the hill.
Right.
And when you know it's going to fucking derail. Because I've seen it enough times more where it's like, all right, this looks familiar.
Yes.
And I either... So my question to you is that with where you're at currently, if red flags present themselves, do you get in front of it and try to stop it like you previously used to? Do you let it run its course and see if it fixes? Or do you jump off before it becomes a thing?
That's a great fucking question. That answer has changed throughout our lives.
Yes.
Because if you had asked me this question 5 years ago, I'd be like, fucking no, I'm going to jump ship.
See, and you know what? 5 years ago... and that's where we're different. 5 years ago, I was the guy that would, if I saw something was wrong, I would do everything in my power to fix it.
Yes.
I'd be like, fuck, I got to get in there,
Right.
fix it, and it made it to where I felt like I was mentally very controlling.
Right.
Like, I was like, I need to hold this person with every ounce of my being and not let them go. And it only ended up making it worse because now they're like, towards the tail end of it, they just have a bad taste in their mouth of me.
Right.
Because of like, okay, you don't understand how much I love you and how much I want you to be around, so what can I do to make this fix? And they're like,
Right.
oh, well, it doesn't matter. I'm like, no, it does. Let me fucking fix it.
Right.
But now as I'm getting to this point now, I'm not the one that's just gonna jump. That's not what I can't.
I don't have the energy.
I don't have the energy to jump off. But if I see something happening, I take mental note of it and then I let it run its course.
If it's a big enough red flag, you know what I'm talking about? Like a fucking firework in the sky that says get out. You can't help it.
It's like the old school shit of like how guys and girls when they're younger, when they were with their significant other, they would try to go through their phones.
Yes.
Like, let me go through the phones and see if I can find text messages or pictures. If you're looking through somebody's phone, you're purposely, intentionally trying to find
If you're looking for trouble, you're going to find it.
You're trying to find it.
You know what I mean?
And
like,
it's more or less like I've gotten to this mentality where it's like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. It's gonna come across me eventually.
Right.
And now when it does,
right.
I'll be like, okay, now I know. And if they're like, oh, well, I'm sorry about this, and you know, this is the reason why, I was like, you don't have to explain it to me. The fact is that you'd been hiding it for so long, and then now it drops in my lap. You had all this time to fucking fix it,
right?
And you let it run to here.
Now I'm out.
So now I'm out.
You
dug your own fucking grave.
Yes.
You know, bury yourself.
Well, and that's what I mean about red flags, especially, you know, me and Lynn. Nope, I'm not going to say that for Lynn. I'm going to say that for myself. I'm a hopeless romantic. I have the optimism of the gods. If it's possible for something to work, regardless of the situation, I will at least stay around to see it through. Is that a great mentality? No. Has it served me wrong? Yes. At the end of the day, that's who I am at my core. I love the fact that I can make somebody happy by being in their lives. I love the fact that somebody can enrich me as a person by just being in my life. So, perfect example with my super ex. Me and her broke up for a year, got back in touch, and she's pregnant with another man's baby. I went through all my little emotions and mental gymnastics, but at the end of the day, temporarily for a time, I took her back, raised the kid as my own, did everything I need to do because in my mind, it just made sense. It was like, we have a history. We have a connection. As much as I don't like the thought of raising another man's baby, to get you back, I'll accept it. Nowadays, no, I can't be that guy. I don't have that patience. I don't have the self-restraint to deal with those type of issues because like we were saying in the previous episode, I don't like dealing with baby daddy issues. I can't fucking stand it.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting to have to come into a situation. And there's been times like that, like no matter what. And prior to my past stuff, it's like you said, the baby daddy has this lingering ability to be able to, and I've been reminded of this before, that no matter how much you do as a step parent, the baby daddy can still come in and just fucking change everything with just one phone call. It
has happened.
And it's stupid. It's such a shitty thing, which I'll touch base on this a little bit farther down.
Yeah, later.
Yeah, but I do want to skip the one that we did highlight and go into the other one.
Do you believe in life after love?
So my another... So these are relatively good questions, which I feel like a lot of people, I would like to hear from other people to hear what their comments are.
Yes.
I tend to not ever hear comments through our podcast, but then people that I know listen to us will pull me aside because at the academy,
which is weird.
Yeah, like I had I had one of my instructors come to the academy last week. I mentioned to her back in, so who's it? Someone brought it up back in like, what the fuck was it? March. Because I had to train this person to become a defensive tactics instructor, but she's an officer. She owns her own little baking business and stuff like that. But she had to teach one of her first classes, and she was there last week. And she asked about the podcast. And I was like, I looked at her and I was like, you know about it? She's like, oh yeah. She goes, I've listened to it quite a few times. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, I had a question about this, this, and this.
Nice.
And I'm like, you serious? She had it written down and everything.
What?
Yeah. And it's like sometimes that happens quite a bit, is that my information gets put out and I forget about it.
Yeah.
And then because we're not, obviously more my fault, but we're not consistent in what we do in our uploads, that when stuff does come up and someone mentions about a topic that I talked about, I have to sit there and like rewind back. I was like, bro, we're 80 episodes in.
I was about to say.
We've been doing this since the pandemic. If we were consistent, we'd probably be over in the hundreds by now.
2019.
No, 2020. We hit January 2020.
Yeah, okay.
We started prepping with it in November at the church,
Mm-hmm.
and then we ran. And I still have memories of that. we were sitting at the church super late at fucking night, prepping everything together, and then 2020 is when we launched our first episode.
Yes, sir. Do you believe in soulmates?
Yeah. So this was my. I got sidetracked with it.
It's the gnomes in our refrigerator.
What is that?
They're hard at work keeping the refrigerator
They're sending Morse code?
No, they're hammering. They're working the forge.
Is that what that sounds
Yeah,
like?
yeah. Okay. Something must have broke. They're repairing
like
it.
the Keebler elves.
Yeah.
So, now, do I believe in soulmates? Yes. Do I feel like it's a necessity to have to be with your soulmate? No.
Well, what makes a soulmate? For you, what would be your soulmate criteria?
Within the relationships that I've been in, I've seen different personalities. You never are with the same girl twice.
No.
And a lot of times, and I know men that have done this, especially myself, you try to see similarities in what your ex was, is because you want those things.
Yes.
And I've had to train and reprogram my brain to remind myself, you know what, this person that I'm with now is not the person that I was with.
Right.
Because it wouldn't work.
But they're not still here.
They're not. Yeah. They don't need to be a fucking doppelganger of that person.
Exactly.
I'm with them because of the traits that I like about them that are completely separate.
Right.
So changing my brain to get out of the old shit and coming into the new stuff, everybody has a hard time doing that. It's just adaptability, but you do tend to compare. So little things, like little dates get mixed up and little time stamps and everything like that, or certain events, you're like, fuck, I remember this with this person, but then, you know, this person's here, so this needs to be the thing.
Right.
Now, when it comes to a soulmate, it's such a, and this is you being, what would you say? What was the word that you said you were? You're
optimistic?
No, not optimistic.
Oh, a hopeless romantic?
Yeah, a hopeless romantic. That's something that I am not.
Yes.
Yeah, being a hopeless romantic it's not something that I could dabble in, more or less.
Why not? It's fun.
You know, it's like that fairy tale thing, like trying to, I don't know, think that love is the only thing that can keep a relationship going. And when it comes to having a soulmate, yes, when I was younger, that's felt like that was a direction that you wanted to go in.
Right.
And as you got older, you realize, like, I don't really have anything in common with this person to really consider them a soulmate.
True.
So I do believe that it does exist. I don't feel like it's a consistency to where it needs to be something. Like, you get your Bonnie and Clyde, your ride or dies, the ones like, oh, fuck, I can do everything with this person.
Right.
But if they were soulmate, it would have already ran its course.
See, and that's
you can't find another thing.
That's where I differ. Yeah.
You can't. I don't realistically feel like you can find your soulmate at a later age. It's something in between an age gap of
never thought about it.
18 to 30.
Really?
Like if it's in between.
So you have conditions for soulmate.
I feel like it's something like the soulmate is like the person that comes in and you know it's they can't do wrong in your eyes. They're perfect all the way around.
Right.
You know that you're going to be with them no matter what. But that would require the relationship to have no flaws.
So do you believe your soulmate exists?
I don't think so.
Right.
No.
Right.
But then again, like I said, I know what it is that I foresee in a woman. I don't need you to be my soulmate in order for me to spend my life with you.
Yes.
I know that if you are bringing to the table to better me as a person,
right,
and in exchange we can coexist and grow together.
Right.
I feel like if that's what considered a soulmate, then yes, I would go with that being my soulmate. But it's not like love on first sight. I saw this person, and now I know for the rest of my life, no matter what the fuck this person does, right, I'm going to be with them. I don't believe in that.
See, and that's me. I don't believe in a pre-existing soulmate, like somebody's out there just wandering the world,
that's true,
waiting to come in contact with you. I believe someone becomes your soulmate over time. And that's just because we're all individuals. We're all different. We all have different life experiences. However, perfect example, when I got out of my last relationship, I was pretty devastated. I was single for about 2.5, 3 years. And somebody set me down. They said, if you want to find a woman that's going to stay with you, you got to find a woman that thinks like you. And you would think that's so fucking common sense, but we've made exceptions for women who didn't deserve it, and for women who could not bear the honor of it. I've been with girls who've told me I treat them too well, which blows my mind. What do you mean I treat you too well? Are you saying I should hit you? Are you saying you want me to yell at you and degrade and demean you? Like, what does that even mean? Mm-hmm. On top of that, how is that feedback for me to build off of for my next relationship?
You can't, and it sucks.
What does that do?
Unfortunately, it's like you can't do anything to strengthen that by like, oh, do I need to like bring myself farther down?
How do I get better?
I have to? Yeah, you can't. You're never gonna find someone that's gonna match you out and everything. Like I'm not saying I'm the smartest person in the fucking room, but it's very rare to find someone that matches me in not intelligence, but like a thought process.
Yes,
I tend to think very off the cusp. Like if you put me on a one-on-one, I'm like a stand-up comedian. Mm-hmm. My comeback to you tends to be so much more fluid than most.
Yes.
That I come off being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, they're thinking I'm being fucking rude. But it's because I'm so quick to fire back at you.
Right.
And it's like, I've never yet come across someone that can generally outthink me like that.
Yes.
And that's where it's like, I don't need an equal because it doesn't do me any good. Because if I had someone that was like-minded like that, we'd just fight all the time. We'd be like, all right, well, I'm going to one-up you, and then you're going to one-up me, and then I'm going to one-up you, and you're going to one-up me, and then we're just going to sit there and be like, okay, well, this is fucking stupid. I don't want to talk to you now.
And that's why I go kind of more by the whole opposites attract.
That's true.
Whereas because of the way I think and the way I do things, I'm too I don't want to say driven. I'm not putting myself in a pedestal. I think too far ahead for people to keep up.
Oh, that's where me and you are very, very similar, and I've pitched that to quite a few people who don't understand it. I find exhaustion in people who do day-to-day things without any planning.
Right, you don't think it through.
It fucking drives me crazy. There's a few people that I work with that do that shit, and it's like when you tell them that they're chaotic, they look at you like you're calling them a fucking monster. Like your shit's chaos. You don't make any fucking. How the fuck do you have multiple kids? How do you function when every single day is just and they're like just moving? And it's like, dude, had you planned your shit, it wouldn't be this fucking bad.
Exactly.
Plan it out. I understand you have kids. I understand that this is happening, but you can still fucking structure something out.
Yes.
But if anything, there is one flaw to being a planner like that.
Exactly.
It takes away your ability to enjoy the moment.
Focused on the moment. Yes.
You lose the ability to focus and enjoy that moment because you're so far out there. And
you're
there's time
already in the future.
And it's like, and I'm one thing I have a really hard thing of releasing that I'm working on is that if something's planned and I get a last minute thing thrown at me, like, hey, let's do this, or hey, I can't because of this, or hey, this is happening, it fucking sends me off the rails. Like I want to go fucking strangle a baby or set a fucking bus on fire. Like I want
to strangle children.
I'm telling you, it becomes a thing where it's like I can't process why I have to adapt because you don't know how to schedule your day, and it makes it hard to have to. But then I realized I was like, you know what, people aren't like me, so I need to preemptively plan separately from that, and do things on my own terms. Of okay, you can't do this, cool. I got something else I can do.
Right.
So that's my fault for underestimating people.
And we grow and we learn, and that's what I mean. That's where I've developed my logic with the whole soulmates thing, because I believe you connect with somebody, but you can connect with anybody you fucking want to. I could walk down the street and talk to some random stranger and find something we have in common. That doesn't make them my soulmate. It's what is that person willing to do for you regardless of the situation. Like my girl is committed to me, whether we make money, whether we don't make money, whether we go somewhere, we don't go somewhere. She's all about me and this relationship, which is something I haven't had before, because it's always been me trying to be like a fucking YouTuber, and I'm trying to stay relevant in her eyes. I got to do this so I can be cool.
So let's jump on to let's cut this one. We'll jump on to the next one because that actually plays in a part with that part.
Ooh, okay. Yep. So we're going to the next one?
Yeah.
All right, we'll catch you in the next one.
Okay, bye.